You've got these two players who've been the foundation of your core in Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. And obviously, this year, it seems like a no-brainer that is the Vladdy Guerrero Jr. If you're going to pick one of the two to stick with, Guerrero Jr. would be the guy. He's having a heck of a year, at least a bounce-back year in some ways. Bo Bichette's gone the other way and sort of fallen through the floor of what we expected from him. How would you proceed if you're in that front office when it comes to the long-term commitment you're willing to make to both of those players who've been sort of the linchpin of your foundation? How do you look at those two guys?
Well, first, I think if I were in that front office, I would do everything I could to try and repair my relationship with the city of Toronto and its fans, because they really have done a terrible job of that.
Yes.
I think you guys would probably agree with that, right? That it's like nobody seems to believe anything that comes out of anybody's mouth there. It's remarkable. I mean, it's unbelievable. For guys who, like, I've known Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins for years. I think they're good guys. at least in my dealings with them, I just think that they just didn't have a feel for what Toronto. I don't think they knew the Toronto, like that they didn't appreciate how intense a sports market it is, that it's much closer to being New York than it is to, Cleveland or Detroit or some of those cities that it feels like it should fit with more geographically, right? So the first thing I do is try to repair that. And I think one of the ways you can do that is by extending those guys. I agree, Bichette's falling through the floor this year has been unbelievable, but guys are allowed to have bad years as far as I'm concerned. And I think Bo Bichette is a way better player than what he's shown this season. I don't think shortstop is his best position. They probably should think about moving him to a different one. And whether it's because, Leo Jimenez is able to handle shortstop, or they can find somebody else who can play the position better defensively, and he might be a better fit at third or second. I think all of that should be on the table, but I think extending Bo Bichette should be priority one, and priority one either A or priority one adjacent should be extending Vlad Guerrero Jr. Because I just don't think that you find young talents like this very often. And it's not like we're talking about extending 31-year-old guys, right? Like, these are young players. These are the kind of guys that you build around. These are the kind of guys that Rodgers should have been keeping his powder dry for, so that they can extend. They're core players, and they're players that have a connection to the community. So for me, if I were in charge, first of all, I think I would have fostered a better relationship with Jays fans. But the other part is I would keep my star players that are that young. This isn't Cleveland, it's Toronto. Like, keep them around, because they're really important pieces for you going forward. And it makes building a lot easier if you have a number 3 and number 4 hitter that are under contract for a long time.
Mike, I can guarantee you'd have a better relationship with the fan base than Ross and Mark do at the moment. And it's a low bar.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's something, all right. And there's been a lot of GM talk and focus on, who's going to essentially replace Ross Atkins.